Well, welcome today to this is my Brave DC area high school edition, and we are interviewing cast members from all shows this year. Since 2020 is stacking up to be a difficult one. And with COVID-19, we are prevented from being on stage together for each of our shows. But we are planning to do now, This Is My Brave, Stories from Home, and feature all the casts and their stories. We are sitting on a gold mine of great stories, and 2020 and this pandemic have presented us with an opportunity we don't want to miss, and that is to share inspiring stories of people who are coping with tough things in hopes of reaching others who may be going through something similar right now. So this morning I have with me Kheira, and Kheira is from our DC cast. Kheira, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So Kheira, I wanted to just ask you about how you first heard of This Is My Brave and why you decided to come out for the show.
Yeah, so I heard about This Is My Brave through Our Minds Matter. It was during the start of quarantine, we started to have our weekly Wellness Wednesdays. And then, I remember, this last slide was like, if anyone's interested in sharing their story, email, This Is My Brave. And then, honestly, from there, I feel so grateful that, I took that opportunity and, sent Erin and Jennifer a message. And then from there, here I am right now. And do you mind repeating the second question?
Why you wanted to come join us. I mean, so you heard about us. But what was it about what we do that caused you to come out for the show?
Yes. So I guess for me, so I used to go to private school and I recently transferred to public school. So that transition was very challenging and, very transformative. But at the same time, it was also the first time I ever, realized that everyone has a mental health. And I came across Our Minds Matter, and they've honestly changed my life. I don't know where I'd be without them. And then again, any other organization or any platform that that has a mission to amplify other people's voices and raise awareness on mental health, you'll find me there. So honestly, this is why I'm here. Through Our Minds Matter, I got a chance to meet This Is My Brave, and I'm excited to share my story in hopes it inspires somebody else who's going through a challenging time.
That's great. So to inform everyone, will you tell us a little bit about Our Minds Matter?
Yes, so Our Minds Matter is a student-led club, student-led initiative, and they equip you with all of the resources and materials necessary for you to run a student-led club that targets the stigma around mental illness and mental health. So basically, there are there are basically weekly themes, monthly themes, different activities, coping activities, wellness Wednesdays, um, wellness weeks. They equip you with all the necessary resources you need to start your club. And honestly, from there, you can have, for me, we have Edison Minds Matter, and we normally have bi-weekly meetings. And in our weekly meetings, what we do is, sometimes we just have ranting sessions where everyone just shares how they're feeling mentally and physically. We write cards to the Crisis Mental Health Center, various different activities. So it's a student-led club that is targeted to destigmatize mental illness.
Great. So just on our end, the way that we got connected with with Our Minds Matter is through the Josh Anderson Foundation, who sponsors these clubs in the local high schools and in high schools across America. And so we wanted to connect because This Is My Brave has always been a community-oriented show. We've always put on shows around the country, and some of them have included high school students, but we really wanted to get into the realm of doing shows that are dedicated exclusively to high school students and invite more students forward. We know, as you know, probably in your work with Our Minds Matter, that kids need to hear these stories. They need to know that others are going through things that they may be feeling themselves. And so thanks for jumping on enthusiastically. I can tell that you are just already a natural advocate on the topic of mental health. And so that's really great that we connected with you. So you're going to tell us a little bit about some struggles that you went through as you transitioned out of private school into public school. And where was the first place that you were able to find help when you realized that you were maybe stuck and needed it?
So Fairfax County, every fall, they have a mental health fair, and my mother is a Fairfax County employee, so she received an invitation, and I just tagged along with her. And honestly, that from that time, I believe it was around October-ish, so about the second month of school. So I was still in that transitioning phase. I didn't know what I was doing. I was confused. I was hurt. And then I realized, as they were there were speakers, there were resource tables, I just started to share how I was feeling. And then, I remember someone told me, reach out to your counselor, reach out to your school psychologist. And then I remember it was a Saturday. So that Monday, immediately I went back, and then, I brought with me all of the booklets I collected, and I went to my counselor and I told him, this is what happened on Saturday, this is what I'm going through, and how can I help myself and help other people who are, going through a difficult time. And honestly, it started from there. So, and that's also that same place, that mental health conference. Our Minds Matter happened to have set up a table for the youth. So it was very coincidental. I don't know how I got to that side of the school, but I picked up a pamphlet. I met Lauren, who's the executive director of the Josh Anderson Foundation. And honestly, from there, everything started.
That's great. So you're joining us. Of course, we're going to record these from home. But when you tell your story, what do you hope for a teenager, a Fairfax County teenager, or a teenager elsewhere, a high school student? What do you hope that they hear, that they take away from your story?
Personally, I really hope that, for anyone who's struggling or anyone that's going through a hard time, take your obstacles as a learning experience. And I know it's easier said than done, but your obstacles are really what make you stronger. And whatever you go through or whatever you undergo only comes to you for a reason, and that reason is to make you stronger and make you better. And I know this is very cliche, and everyone says it will pass, but it really will pass. Nothing will ever stay forever. It will pass. You will meet new people. You'll learn more about yourself, but everything is meant to happen. And whatever is meant to happen is only there to make you stronger and better.
So very quickly, I like the big picture. I like that overarching, and it's true. And obviously, you needed some help to get to that. So you had some assistance with your counselor, maybe, who's helped bring that into perspective for you. And so you seem like going into the pandemic and the quarantine, that you were equipped very well because you'd addressed some of these challenges that you were having beforehand. And so as you've been going through the quarantine and being out of school, being away from your friends, what sort of tools have you relied on to keep yourself well mentally throughout?
Everything for me, the first 2 weeks, I was very confused. I've never had all of the time I could have, and just the thought of waking up and just not changing into clothes, just staying in your pajamas, and having school virtually. I guess the beginning was pretty tough, just trying to figure out a schedule and sticking to that schedule. I was able to create a schedule, but there wasn't that discipline. There were no bell schedules. There was no administrator to actually keep you in check. So I think it was like about, I would say a good month that, it took me a while to figure out like trial and error. Like, Sunday nights, sometimes I would like write out my goals for the week. That didn't work out as well. So then I came to realize that I work best, in the morning. So I've just figured out a schedule that I would wake up early in the morning, go on a run, start my day running, start my day like sweating, and then take a shower, and then just come home and write like a few goals for the day. And then the main thing I learned is, people used to say like take it day by day, but I guess quarantine really taught me you cannot take it day by day just because you don't know if you're going to make it throughout the day. So just like taking it hour by hour
Yeah.
and just like writing out a few main goals you want to accomplish. If you accomplish them, celebrate. If you don't, celebrate. You still have tomorrow, you still have other days coming.
Yeah, I like that. It's bite-sized chunks. And so, and what can you manage right now? And for some people, it has to be, I used to work at a coffee shop and I'd have bad days and it takes, when you do a shot on the latte, or sorry, the espresso machine, it takes 30 seconds to pull a shot, basically, roughly 25 to 30 seconds. And so sometimes I just sit there and go, let's just pull this shot. Like, let's just focus on pulling one shot. And it was shot by shot, literally 30 seconds by 30 seconds. Some days were that bad that I had to just break it into that size chunks. So I appreciate what you're saying, that day by day is maybe too long in quarantine time. So, but it sounds like I like also the idea of trial and error. You tried something at the beginning of the week, it didn't really, that wasn't enough for you, so you tweaked it and adjusted it. And all these things that people say are just guidelines, and you have to figure out what works for you, right?
Yes.
So going into the fall with in the same kind of sense of uncertainty, where does that leave you? Are you hopeful? Do you feel confident? Are you concerned about any of that?
I do. So I'm a rising senior, so I'm just a
Mm.
little bit concerned, like, with the whole, college application process. But I guess the upside of it is, there's now much more time to like, actually do them and like spend time, like, learning about yourself as you're writing and answering the questions. I do feel a little bit confident, just like, just knowing myself that, I'm very hopeful. So, whatever happens, happens. And again, if something is not meant to happen, it's not meant to happen. So that's like something I'm trying to tell myself often, that, don't be hard on yourself. Like everything is already written for you, like way before you're born. So whatever is meant to happen will happen. So I guess going into the fall, I'm trying my best to be as hopeful and positive, but realistically, because sometimes I tend to be very, very optimistic, and that just kind of also strays me away. So just figuring out that balance.
I like your mindfulness. I like how you recognize. It sounds like you have done good work. You know yourself, and then you know how to check yourself. And so those are great qualities, especially in these uncertain times. So good for you, Kheira. I'm hopeful. I think that you're going to do really well this fall. So, but thanks for sharing some of those tips with us. And we look forward to hearing your story. And just for everybody to know, we're going to record those stories from home, and then we're going to compile them into a show that will, for the high school, the DC area high school students, will be shared live on Facebook and YouTube on the 18th of October. So I hope that you join us and to see Kheira and her castmates talk about their mental health and give you some hope for yourself and for others. So Kheira, thank you so much for joining me today. And I really look forward to seeing your piece on the 18th of October.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day.